No. The ayes have it. On that note, the agenda is adopted as amended. We can proceed. We've dealt with the item 1, 2, and now to item 3, that is introduction, to begin with my humble self. Before, I think we did the introduction, then affirmation. My humble self, I'm Alhaji Dabo, the care.
Honorable Musa Chan, member.
This side.
Relation, so the
Modu Sise, Secretary General, take to the committee.
Babu Karbaji, NAO.
Gamia, please first.
From the police perspective, I am Master Inspector General of Police, the Ambassador of Study in Police.
Okay.
Assistant Commissioner of Police from Sudan.
Please, the SMS National Audit and members, you can now proceed with the fourth item, administration of affirmation or oath. The clerk will come down to administer that, and it will be jointly administered. Thank you very much. We may proceed. The next item, that's the update on the National Assembly resolutions as of 30th September 24, and that's the main item for that matter. On that note, let me welcome the representatives from the Gambia Police Force. On record, we received the Inspector General of Police here in person early in the morning, who requested with apology that is bereaved and therefore could not be able to attend the sitting, and that he'll be able represented by the Assistant Deputy Inspector General and the team. In fact, that are more of a, as far as the issue before us is concerned. And the committee considered the request and then granted the permission. So welcome, honorable gentlemen. I believe you've been given the copy of our resolutions. Last week, the Inspector General himself was here, and we have the resolutions 29 September 2022, 14 September 2023, and 18 September 2023 as well. All the resolutions, we have issues that concern the Gambia Police Force to mount an investigation and then take the necessary action, then provide that report to the National Assembly. It could be recalled the last resolution for that matter, because we have a series of resolutions. The first one was way back 2022, and that the area that might have concerned the National Gambia Police Force, action was supposed to be taken on the 29th September 2022 by 30th November 2022, or otherwise the matter will be referred to the Gambia Police Force for further action. The following year, that is 2023, we had the sets of resolutions 14 September and then 18 September. So they acted to the National Assembly reports with the view that they had extra information that they can provide, and the committee accommodated those informations and forwarded to the National Audit for their consideration and action. And adequately they did so, and then gave us those reports. When the committee went through, there was no point where the position of the National Audit was changed. In that regard, we had to write to the police. The last letter that we sent to the police, the first one was not quite comprehensive or understood, and we had to send another one to clearly spell out what the police should do. And that letter was dated on the 6th December 2023. That means effective that date, the police were expected to act on the request. The deadline was within 90 days and report to the National Assembly. Unfortunately, we salute the police for the feedback. It happened that the National Assembly was preoccupied. Before that date, we had other parliamentary engagement, and the committee meetings were all suspended. We could not have the time to get the update from the National Assembly until this committee session. That's why you are here. It was supposed to be earlier than today, but as I said, activities made it not to happen. But now that it is to happen, you are here to give us the updates regarding the resolutions that I've highlighted. We are to begin with the phase one by one. The first one is the 29th September. Honorable members, you guide me in the event if I miss anyone that may concern the National Police Force. I believe for the 29th September 2022, the first resolution that concerns the National Gambia Police Force is the 6th one. And that has to do with the Auditor General and Accountant General provide to the National Assembly a list of people that have been found to commit fraudulent activities in all sectors and give the latest update on their prosecution or payments. On the status of that, the PS Ministry of Finance to give FPAC status update on the affected cases by 30th November 2023. And on all remarks, the Ministry of Justice, IGP, to be requested to provide update to FPAC on Resolution 6th of 29 September 2022 by 30th November 2020. I believe this would be 2023. So that is the first one. That is the resolution, and that resolution is about the list of fraudulent activities that were committed in all sectors, and then the latest update on that, whether there are prosecutions or payments. Over to you.
State, okay, of course, going by the resolution mentioned, we looked at it, but we had an issue as to the timeline that we need to react upon. However, we were able to look at few cases, and we have a list of those cases, one of which is the Brikama sub-treasury. And the suspect of that was one Musa Trawale. But we were made to understand that as the investigation process progressed, the gentleman made payments of all his liabilities at the treasury. And that, from our perspective, was more or less the terminating point of that investigations. Another matter was the Gambia Immigration Department. That case was investigated and completed. The matter sent to the Aegis chambers, and they proffer advice, and they retained the file. So as we speak, That file should be with the AG's chambers and is in court. Another matter, Mr. Chair, is the Guinea-Bissau embassy staff who was implicated in a case, and that's one Baba Gomez. But before the investigation commenced, we were made to understand that through the families that he is late. So there was no position taken as far as the investigation is concerned. But this information was also shared with the Office of the Accountant General, who in fact shared that information with the police, and we were able to do our verifications through their respective families. The other case was at the Ministry of Justice, involving one Yusuf Cham, Matar Silla, Sidi Jame. Yusuf Cham, Matar Silla, Sidi Jame. And that case was investigated, and the file sent to the AG's chambers for legal opinion. Another matter involves the Ministry of Health. Of course, I want to believe this is the Kanifing General Hospital. And the suspect of that case was Mohammed Conte. Investigation into that matter is also completed, and the file sent to the AG's chambers for legal advice. Another case is the National Environment Agency. In this case also, the suspect is one Mohammed Dentin and Umar, the National Environment Agency. Suspects is Mohammed Dentin, Omar Job. The file investigation was completed and case file sent to the AG's chambers for legal opinion. Another matter which was also completed was the case of the Gambia Ports Authority. And this case, we had one Rakiba, a suspect, Binta Sala, Kumbasar, Sohna Bojang, Yande Mbenga. Investigation into this matter is also completed, and the file sent to the AG's chambers for legal opinion. Another case is the case on NYSS. The suspect is Emmanuel Mendy. Investigation completed, and case file sent to the AG's chambers for legal opinion. The other one is the Ministry of Finance. This has to do with former Honorable Abasanyang and Pamudu Job. Investigation completed. As we speak, the case file is at the AG's chambers. Like I said earlier, because we were not given a time frame as to from which period to which period, these were the cases that we were able to detail out. However, we are open to any further clarification where some cases are omitted, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Yes, yes, Chair.
And then immigration,
Immigration, yes.
mission at Guinea-Bissau,
Very well, yes, Chair.
Minister of Justice,
Yes,
Health,
health, yes.
National Environment Agency,
Very well, yes.
DPA,
Yes,
NYSS,
yes.
and the Ministry of Finance.
Very well, yes. Yes.
Okay. Let me take you through the K1 sub-treasury. We have a K1 sub-treasury. Yes, we have the Kama sub-treasury. In the list of the
Has been paid.
Accountant General, Accountant General Department.
Okay, Chair, I think I will give this the mic to my colleague just to help put things in the right perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, for the Brikama sub-treasury, I think that is the Kerawan.
K1, yes.
Yeah, the Kerawan sub-treasury and the Janjambre sub-treasury. These issues were raised earlier on during the committee meeting at the Accountant General's Department. But because, they were reported way back before, I think way back before 2013. So we could not find, trace them in our records. We tried to search everywhere in CRR, North Bank, and also in Janjambure, but we could not trace them in our records. So that was the case for Janjambure and KORA sub-treasury. They could not be traced in our records.
Well, that was what they reported. They reported that the KORA and Janjambure sub-treasury are before the police. They are with the expectation that those two cases are still before the police.
Yes, during the last meeting, that was what was said, that they were reported at the police. So obviously they should be with the police. But we made it very clear that it could not be traced anywhere in our records. And for us to commence investigation, they need to give us the initial report that they sent to the police so that we can commence. And I think as it stands now, we've not received any report from them.
Okay. And then can you take note? When did you have that?
Back 2013 and thereabout.
Even before 2013.
So 2013, Mr. Chair. And from the records, like he said, from the police, we've tried to search all over, but we didn't see any records. So just to come to a consensus, we prevail on the Accountant General or Auditor General. If they have information readily available, they can still furnish the police with them, and then we can take it up from there. This case, because we've had one that touched on Minister of Finance.
These are the two, the amount involved is 4,064,363.15.
This was never brought to us. This was Henry Davies and others.
They indicated that
Very well, if that's the position from the Ministry of Justice, I think that should suffice, Mr. Chair.
and the other one is Brikama Health Center.
Girl Health Center.
Yeah, is that in the police list?
Mm.
Or it's fully recovered? Okay, that's in your list.
It's in our list, yes. It's recovered,
I mean,
yeah.
the ones that are not in your list, that's what I want to spot out from the submission of the Accountant General. Department of Forestry and Parks.
Eddie Chambers.
That one, I cannot precisely tell you the date, but the investigation was conducted and it should be, the file sent to the AG's chambers, Chair.
Okay, it's indicated the investigation is completed and then sent to that is now before the court. We just want you to report on those, the comprehensive list. Now, after the Ministry of Forestry, the other one that is not in your list is the mission in Paris, amounting to 1,549,350. And it's indicated the case before the court.
Yeah, I think the suspect is Faisal Bojan. That matter has been investigated, and the matter was before the court.
Investigated and before the court.
The matter was before the court.
Remember? Yeah. $1,549,350.
Members for legal advice.
The Accountant General could not tell whether this is before the policy, but they could not tell whether they have gone to court or whether the investigation is completed. So what's your take on that? Is still under investigation or completed?
The investigation is completed and the file has been sent to AG Chambers for legal advice.
Sent to AG Chambers for
Legal advice.
legal advice. Okay, I think these are the additional information as far as the submission of the accountant. You can add them to your list.
Yeah.
The ones that are completed and then sent for legal advice or even prosecuted. You want them to be part of your list so that we know what work has been done. Okay? At the end, we'll be taking you through, but at the end, we'll be expecting a written report to be submitted. So we don't want to miss anything after we approve, submit our report to the legal. So we rely on your written submission. Is that clear?
Noted, Chair.
Okay.
Most of the have been submitted to the Ministry of Justice for legal advice. We want to know when they were submitted and what response you have received from the Ministry of Justice and what you normally do after.
And these the dates?
What their
No, these are the dates.
because it was sent for advice. When were they sent? One. And what response have you got? When you or when are you expecting response? Because and also the time frame. You said you had issues with the time frame. So we want to know the time frame of this list that you sent us from which day.
Clarity. Normally, when cases are sent to the police for investigation, particularly these financial-related cases, when we conduct our investigation and we establish facts suggesting a crime being committed, we compile the report and send it to the AG's chambers. As soon as we send it to the AG's chambers, normally we don't follow. We wait for them to respond. And in most cases, if they respond by, if the opinion is to prosecute, they will only send us copies of their opinions and the files are retained with them. In most cases, that is what normally happens. But we don't normally follow to find out what is the state of this case file or not. No, that's normal, except or otherwise, there is real need from us and there are people who are affected. Then we can informally engage our colleagues at the AG's chambers just to show concern. But we normally would not follow case files when they are already, and we have the facts with us that they are sent to the AG's chambers. And on the issue of when sent, we can provide that information because normally that is available with us. But as we speak, we don't have it on our records. Thank you.
And you send it for legal advice and then you don't follow up. Is that a good thing? Because it means that the crime will continue to happen in some cases. Because if something happens and you have the facts, you send it for advice and then you just assuming that they also do.
Want to believe these are all government institutions and the interest remains a mutual one from all government angles. So not following does not necessarily mean that the AG's chambers are not doing much. But it has not been a tradition, and I will not associate saying it's not good practice. These are government entities, and we all have our respective roles. Thank you.
Okay, after you have done your investigation, you say that you normally send the files. But do you keep copies of those files with you at the police headquarters?
Thank God. As we speak, we have a mechanism in place that we have the WAPI system. And that system is a system where we record almost all cases before they are sent to the AG's chambers. What I mean in this case is we retain scanned copies of all statements, but the original files are sent to the AG's chambers.
But since when have you started keeping the scan of all files? Since when can you tell us?
This started when we had relationship. We established the WAPI system, and that's about 2019, 2020. That's when we started piloting. And it's not across the country, but main stations within the Greater Banjul have this WAPI system.
So then, in the case of Kerawan sub-threshold and Janjambrit sub-threshold, you said that you couldn't trace any of those files in the police records. So could it be that you have, after you have investigated that case, you sent it to the AG's chamber for advice, but due to the fact that you don't make follow-ups, maybe it escaped your mind that you have once dealt with those cases?
That may not necessarily be the case, because what actually happened, in as much as we were not in the IT world in 2013, we have these manual systems of record keeping. Any case that is forwarded to any of the units within the Gambia Police Force, we have diaries, we have waybooks, we have cases assigned to people. All those records are normally kept. And if this case was really handled by any of the respective units within the crime management department, we would have traced the record. If not from the records of the IG's office, then it would be recorded in the case the office that is investigated. And as we speak, like I said, this issue of WAPIs just came in as recent as 2020. So we were not really having any data systems. But that does not necessarily mean that we don't have records. This particular case, I think, with all respect to the police themselves and whoever we're dealing with, it's about some aspect of not reporting, or if reported, maybe it was not reported through the formal chain. Like normally in most cases are reported and is addressed to the Inspectorate of Police. And when the case is filtered down, at the office of the IGP, records are maintained. And this same record is maintained at the receiving end also. So I wouldn't associate with the fact that there may be some omissions or as a result of not following. This particular case was not investigated. That is the conclusion. Thank you. Very well, yes.
And then you put it to the ministry or the accountant general so that they can provide the files. So they can mount on the investigation.
Very well, that is a possibility. If the suspects, yes, that was yes a discussion we had at the bilateral level where we were trying to.
The promise to.
Well, that was a promise from. That's what I was not there, but that's what the idea is. That was conveyed and we requested. So obviously, if there is any way they can do it, we are willing to receive. According to him, they said they were going to do it.
Basically, I just want to commend them for doing the investigations, meaning you did your part based on the resolutions. So now I just want you to inform me how does it work, like after doing your investigation and you submitted your whatever opinion to the AG, what is expected of the outcome from the AG as far as your investigation is completed and submitted to the AG?
Thank you. These are when we may have a position, and when the guests them, they may have a different view. But in most cases, whatever their views are, these are reflected in their respective opinions. It may be as a result of, they may see some gaps, even though what we recommend may be there, but they still need some further fact-finding, and that may be reflected in a report that would be sent to us for further investigation, which we will do again and send back to them. So in any case, we're not concluding as police investigators whatever our findings are is going to be binding on the AG's chambers. We will only highlight and attach the relevant facts to support what we said, and we send to them. If they agree, in most cases they do, they will now opine, and if for any reason they want to proceed to court, they will retain the file and send the opinion to us for filing, for our information. And the rest would be the court proceedings, where we will now be called as investigators and exhibit keepers and stuff like that to go and appear before the court to support the case as it proceeds in the courts.
For them to come up with their opinion, then whatever they come up with, that's what you use in terms of either they decide to go to court or whatever.
Very well. I think what I'm saying is the AG's chambers are the final determinants as far as the case is concerned. We investigate we get all the facts, put it in the file, put a report to summarize what the content of the file is, and with our recommendation. If there are elements of crime, we would identify which crime we're talking about. They may agree, and if they agree on all in total, they would, depending on the nature of crime, they will retain the file. And their opinion, a copy of it will be sent to the IGP for his information, and this gets to the IGP and if to the investigation units for our information. Thank you.
What is the normal time frame for you to get a reply from the Attorney General's chambers?
I want to believe that could be better answered by the Attorney General, because at the end of the day, it also depends on how inundated they are. So if they are inundated with cases and cases come to them, they may be in a better position to say. Within this time frame, we will normally provide advice. All that we know is we investigate. And even with us at the point of investigation, we cannot tell you how long it will take us to investigate a financial crime. So these are the issues. We can talk on our side, but when it gets to the AG's chambers, I would rather advise we refer to them to help us guide in that aspect. Thank you.
Your investigation. Now, is it the Attorney General who decide whether the case should go to court or not?
The facts that are in the file. You know, like we are the ones that will provide the Attorney General with facts. If at the point of investigation we realize there is no case, we don't send that to the AG's chambers. But when we feel that there are cases in the whole thing, that is what we put in the file. That becomes the content, and that is what is summarized in a report, and that's what we send to the AG's chambers. However, if we have a position that this is what the person commits, and it gets to the AG's chambers may feel like, yes, that is a possibility. But for us to get credible evidence to showcase the case at the courts, we need further investigation. They would send that opinion to us, and then we would investigate and send it to them. But they are not necessarily the determiners. The determination is informed by the facts that are available in the file.
That begins with the first one. And that has to be that the executive director of the National Disaster Management Agency was account all undelivered food items worth over $100 million on or before 25 September 2023. The Accountant General has notified the FPA. Failure of the Inspector General of Police was launched and investigated immediately and report of FPA is in 90 days. The PB number indicated date 29 October 2020 amounting to $3,500,000, $3,500,000 relating to disaster victims was prevented, but it was not related to the COVID-19 response. The matter referred to Inspector General of Police for investigation.
Understanding for me to hand over the mic to my expert here to help address the issues as far as the resolutions are concerned. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. This particular resolution on this particular resolution, because the Office of the IGP did not receive, is not in receipt of this particular undelivered food items worth 100 million queried against the NDMA. However, the Office of the IGP under my office are currently investigating the audit report on COVID-19, in which there are undelivered food items, and then as part of the investigation, progress reports are written on that, and already a preliminary report have been written and then submitted to the Office of the Vice President. As part of that investigation, the investigation is divided into 4 phases. That is the procurement of food item, distribution of food item, procurement of medical items, and also payments to frontline officers. Currently, 2 of the phases of that investigation are completed and preliminary reports submitted to the Office of the Vice President. We are currently investigating on the third phase, which is the procurement and distribution of medical items, and then the fourth phase will come in due course.
So if I may comment, just to clarify, we don't have, apart from the resolution, we at the police headquarters didn't receive any kind of audit report in regards to this 100 million that is mentioned. But like you rightly stated, during the course of 2023, around September, we received these audit reports, 2 audit reports on the COVID-19. And in one of those reports, there is an aspect that deals with COVID food items delivery. And in that, we try to align to see maybe we are speaking about the same. So that's why we are able to see the few things that we are saying in regards to what the content of the audit report was. Thank you.
Can we take note of that date?
And that one also included this particular one. So we need explanation.
Was
why
the
you say that there is no specific inquiry on this particular one. Well, this attachment, these resolutions were the ones attached to the data sent to IIGP. And clarity for that resolution, for that recommendation, the matter in fact the Inspector General of Police.
Want to say something?
When was the letter dispatched to the office of the IGP?
Dated, it was 26, December 2023.
These are the 2 letters. So the 2 letters that we had as far as the National Assembly resolutions are concerned are dated 20th September 2023. Yeah, 20. Is it not the same? Yeah, this also the same date, but then the resolutions are Resolution 113 and Resolution 114.
114.
Yes, Resolution 113 and Resolution 114.
113.
3. Yes, and 114.
Straight from the.
Yes, that is 20 ME 28/1991/02. Resolution of the National Assembly. I am directed to submit to you the resolution of the National Assembly dated 14 September 2023. The said resolutions relate to reports of Finance and Public Accounts Committee on COVID-19 response, Phase 1 and 2. You are hereby requested to ensure implementation of part of the resolution attached herewith that affect your institution and report to FACPEC accordingly. By a copy of this letter, the Accountant General, Auditor General, and Inspector General of Police are requested to do the needful. I think this.
It's pertinent to this particular one. That's why I'm saying, start with this data in this resolution.
Let's see it here now.
Where are you going to see that
This is it. That's it.
I just wish to ask for guidance. You said currently we are doing investigations based on 2 audited reports. 2 audited reports. Can you tell us which audited reports in regards to COVID? Can you be specific to those audited reports?
The report on government COVID-19 response, phase 2.
1 and 2. Okay.
It's phase 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And the other one, audit report on the government COVID-19 procurement and distribution.
Food items, and then procurement and distribution of medical items, and the procurement of medical food, distribution of food, and then procurement and distribution of medical items, and then payment to frontline workers. So these suffice, and these were the background of the resolutions that was also provided to the police investigation. I think particularly those two issues on 14 September are 1 and 2, and also 3, I think, relates to what was directed to police to be investigated. Particularly, the 100 million technically is an issue of compliance. Generally, when you sum up the issues of compliance in the report, but the more specific issues that require the police attention, where the second resolution on the 14th September, for example, where currently there is a court case going on here. It's a criminal case involving one Alaji Kebe. And this was the food delivery. But this should have been also investigated at the level of the police from the NDMA, because it is in this house that the NDMA took responsibility, and that was what informed this resolution. You could see under resolution 2, the update there, 53,791 drums of worth of 37 million was not presented, and that's the issue that the resolution directed the police to further look at. I think that is, it's both reports that the AIG highlighted. Those are the reports that inform the investigative needs of the committee. That's the COVID-1 and the COVID-2. Thank you.
Which means in principle, EJ, once those 2 audit reports are being investigated, we should be able to have answers surrounding these 2. And listening to AG, he is saying resolution 1 and 2 are basically about compliance. But there is a case in question involving a vendor whose name was earlier on said, Alaji Kebe. So, but now the issue here is, how would we be able to correlate resolution 1 and 2 to that of Alaji Kebe?
It stems from the same issue as a matter of substance, but there were different complainants in the same case, for example. Now, the issue with Alaji Kebe, for example, I understand before the police was attacked, the vendors. Alaji Kebe is a supplier who failed to supply this amount of oil that was not subsequently now distributed by the NDMA. So there is one aspect there of which the vendors claim, but the aspect that is left there is now, what about government who already paid this money and acknowledge receipts? The NDMA, in their scrutiny as the committee here, the NDMA executive confirmed that they have signed up to receiving those items, but they did not actually receive those items, as the audit report has indicated that these items were never delivered. Therefore, what is the accountability element of the funds of 37 million that have been paid to those vendors, subsequently to Alaji Kebe? If Alaji Kebe is prosecuted criminally for obtaining money by false pretense or any other charges, how about the money that the government has paid, the 37 million, for those items that were never delivered? That is where now the police probably, the resolution is speaking to, the resolution 2 in particular, is speaking to investigating that matter in relation to the recovery of those funds. I hope that clarifies what I have.
The resolution of the National Assembly In response to your letter dated 4th September 2023, reference EPF 114,
So that is
48S,
this one is we don't have.
122. That's in response to that. Regarding the above subject, please find attached synopsis of the National Assembly Resolution of 14th and 18th September 2023 that remain outstanding. The attachment also highlights status updates on each of them. This outstanding resolution
Almost is
as whole, but responses and additional evidence provided were found to be inadequate and therefore did not completely address the queries highlighted. Consequently, the Inspector General of Police is required to launch an investigation into these irregularities and report to the Standing Committee on Finance and Public Accounts of the FPA within 90 days, as resolved by the National Assembly of the Gambia. We count on your collaboration and support in this matter. And this attachment, the first resolutions of the 14th September 2023, and that's why you have this first resolution that the director of NDMA must account for all undelivered food items worth over $100 million, although before 20 September 2023, to the Accountant General notify the FPA. Failure of the Inspector General of Police must launch an investigation immediately and report back to the FPA within 90 days. So that is the letter and that's the attachment. So I don't know, I'm recording how you will miss this particular resolutions. We are 14 and then 16 September 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think I would say is rather unfortunate that there apparently is a gap when it comes to the receipt of this particular letter that you are referencing. However, what we sit and wait was when we received these resolutions, as soon as it was received in September, I think I need to bring this out. It was sent to my department, and I instituted a panel in anticipation of directives, because in the circulated resolutions to the respective stakeholder institutions that were affected, the role of the IGP was going to be for him to investigate if there were issues of non-compliance, because the irregularities were highlighted and sent to the respective stakeholder government institutions and other institutions. But then it was highlighted that they were given a minimum time frame for them to react to the National Assembly, without which the Inspector General would be given that authority of investigation. When this thing was received, we instituted a panel in anticipation. And then one of the issues we discovered was we wanted clarity from the office of the FPAC, and there was a letter that was written on the 28th of September, on the 29th of September, to acknowledge receipt of the two resolutions, and also urging the office of the chair to kindly provide us with information of non-compliance as soon as the timeline reaches. And when we wrote, actually, we didn't have any updates. And on the 4th of December was when we wrote a reminder following up the earlier letter to the office of the FPAC. And the following day, on the 5th, we made a representation. That is, the investigator made a representation to the office of the FPAC here, and I think they had engagements with one Mr. Mane. And it was as a result of following up. What about the engagements with the respective departments? And we were made to understand from the said Mr. Mane that yes, most of them responded, and that there was going to be a plenary over this, and then the resolutions thereupon would be sent to the office of the IGP. And I want to believe this letter you are now referencing has to do with that. And unfortunately, the investigator is telling me, up to as we speak, this was not sent to them. However, I think that didn't stop us from investigation. Now the investigation into the two audit reports, from the time we realized that there was a problem of getting the responses, and we were also getting requests from the office of the vice president, because I think he was all the time coming here. So he also wanted us to give him updates of the progress of investigation on these respective audits. So we could not sit and wait. The panel that was instituted in anticipation of the response from you was now mandated to look at the audit reports. So as we speak, that's the progress that he's talking about, where we have these phases. And in that, we've made some progress, but I don't know how it will work, because the progress that we are sending would, at some point, would have to be blended to one report. It's not conclusive. So if we are to come here and be giving you updates on matters that have some criminal issues, I don't know how it will, whether we will have to write to you to give you our reports in piecemeal kind of, or we will come in the open and tell you what happened to this guy, because this has to do with criminal issues. So as we speak, I think I would allow him just to give you a hint of how far they've gone into the dealing into the other reports.
Not necessarily. I think fine. What we are trying to establish, when we say okay, like previously we are saying that this one we received is under investigation. The investigation is completed, forwarded to the Accountant General for this. We want to know this case. Not the detailed listing. Whether something has started, at what level, that's that. Not the building of the whole, something like that.
I can tell you, as we speak, Mr. Chair, I take 50% of investigation into the audit reports. Yes. We've almost gone that far.
So now what we do, for us, we are active on our resolution. We know you are assigned to do the general investigation surrounding the COVID-19. Maybe by the office of the Vice President.
Can I have that? If you ask the VP how far with our resolutions, in fact, we were pressing him to give us what? Answers. And what he was telling us was the police were what? Investigating. So that's why I asked the initial question. What were they investigating? What was the basis for the investigation? And they brought out those two audit reports. And you realize that the undelivered and the discrepancy that we are claiming stemmed out from those two audit reports. So at the end of the day, once their investigation is concluded, resolution 1, 2, and 3 would be answered.
Good.
Would be definitely answered. The two are what? They have a congruence, huh? They are correlated. Thank you.
You can take that, related to the general investigation that you are doing. What concerns us in that resolution, whether it is captured in what you are investigating, then if you have to report, you can give us a report on that. If it's not captured, then that means you should do an investigation on it. So that's the thing. We don't know how far you are in that one now, but this information that you might not have, I think now you should get that information and try to relate it to what you are investigating, whether it is captured or not captured. I hope that is clear.
Very clear.
Then you will be in position to know, okay, where whether it is connected to your listing or not. That's the first one, and then the second one also is about ADA and weak rates. The Executive Director of the National Disaster Management account for the shortage of delivery of oil by the International Commodity Insurance worth of 37,653,700. And the money to be disbursed to the National Treasury on the 4th of this September. 23 and the Final Accountant General, and the Auditor General, and FR, failure of it. The Inspector General of Police must launch an investigation immediately and report back of FR within 90 days. The next one, there is 3. The bill is also about NGO. The Executive Director must provide to the Auditor General and FR the certificate of confiscation of the damaged items by the Food Safety and Quality Authority. One of the reported 5th September 23. Failure of the food, the FSQA. The third one.